ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Howdy, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. I'm so happy you're joining me on the Broadway Podcast Network or watching us on YouTube. I take being an artist really seriously. I think that the cloak of an artist or the calling of an artist is something that is sometimes very diminished in pop culture and in society because it's, oh, he's an actor, oh, he's a singer, oh, he's a writer. But the work of an artist is to show truth, history, feelings, emotions, to tell stories as a storyteller. And in these times, we are living in some crazy times. I am sure the people who make Zoloft and Prozac and Effexor and all of the Xanax, did I say that already? Maybe I did. Maybe I need to take some, are making a ton of money because we're living in anxious times and in scary times. But humanity has survived through hard, scary times. And it is the job of the artists to make us never forget and to tell the stories. That's why Richard Topal is here talking to us about King of the Jews, which is playing till the middle of November. And this has never been a more important time to learn this story in this history. I wish us all a lot of peace and love, and I hope that you're taking care of yourself because it's very easy to forget that among scary times. Take care of you in your home and listen to us every single day on the Broadway Podcast Network and on YouTube. Let's go check out our guest for today, the incredible Richard Topal. Well, in these crazy times, art really represents so much of humanity, and I am really excited to talk to our next guest. Actor, I have seen him on stage. I have seen his work up close and personal, small spaces, Broadway spaces, and I am so excited to have him here to talk about King of the Jews, which is playing right now. Get your tickets here, Art Center. Get them while you can. It's a limited run, and it's something important that you need to see. Richard Topal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert Bannon. It is nice to be here.
Oh my goodness! I want to say I see your shirt as we all stand in solidarity with NAFTA as SAG members. You have done a lot of television and film work, and we will be leaving that out of this conversation because we support actors and we support the work that they do, that we all do. Congratulations on King of the Jews.
Thank you. It's a really interesting piece of theater, I got to say. And it's really interesting to be doing it in the times that we're living in right now.
Well, and that's what I was going to, it's running till November 19th. And you can get your tickets at here.org. So you can get them and grab them right now. This is a book that has been changed into this production. Can you tell us about when you read it and what was your reaction to then being able to get it on its feet?
I can. I actually didn't read the book because I was told that my character, who's the sort of the main character in this story, was a lot different in the novel that Leslie Epstein wrote about 40 years ago. But he wrote it about this incredibly challenging time for Jews. It takes place in the beginning of World War II in Poland, in the Lodz ghetto, and it's all about how the Jews were sort of enlisted by the Nazis and by the Polish leadership to run the ghettos and to actually be, for want of a better word, kind of collaborators and do the dirty work that the Nazis didn't want to have to do, of running the ghetto and doing all kinds of things that you wouldn't ever want to have to do as a human being. So he wrote this novel about that. There's this character, this person, this real life guy that my character is based on, who was the head of this. They created councils in each of the ghettos to run them, right? And this guy was the head of the council for this ghetto. And he was renowned for running an incredibly fiercely tight ship kind of ghetto, such that they became they ended up making the boots, the uniforms, the caps for the Nazis, for the soldiers, right? And so they became indispensable, so that the Jews in that ghetto were some of the last Jews who were sent to the concentration camps, because the Nazis were like, no, we need them. We need these Jews to do this. And this guy, the story, I don't know if it's apocryphal or if Leslie the writer I don't know how he learned about it, but the story that he told us was that when finally towards if the war had ended a year earlier, this guy would have been a hero. He would have been there would have been statues. He would have been like a Schindler. He saved tens of thousands of Jews. But because the war went on for another year, the ghetto ended up being, for want of a better word, liquidated. And when this guy arrived in the concentration camp, he was beaten to death and torn limb from limb by the Jews, because they hated him so much for how he ran the ghetto, right? So that's the story that he told us about what interested him in writing this book, and then turning it, and then 25 years later, he turned it into this play, which is what I read. And I read the play, and I was like, oh, this character is insanely interesting, because he's a doctor. He's a doctor who ran an orphanage. He saved the lives of children. He was instrumental in saving the lives of so many Jews, and then he became this kind of egomaniacal, sort of tyrannical monster who I guess enjoyed the power of being in charge of all these people. And so anyway, I was gonna read the book, and then people said to me, "Oh, no! In the book, he's so much nicer. He's so much more. He's so much kinder." And I thought, "Oh, if I read the book, I'm either going to come into rehearsal and say, wait, Leslie, you wrote this guy in one version and this guy in another version, and frankly, I want more of this guy in here." So I never read the book. I have it sitting on my night table waiting to read after we close.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds pretty, as a nerdy actor that I am, pretty heavy material, heavy stage play, we're dealing with a very, very big, heavy subject matter. What do you do as an actor when you get the script to kind of find your way through this and then put it away at the end of the show and go back to your real life?
Well, I was just joking with my wife last night. It's like, she's like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for the show to be over for you to be a nicer person," because it is crazy how the intensity, if you're really committing to telling this kind of story. And in my life, I have done many a Holocaust play, and many that have been very complicated. I did a play called The Gray Zone by Tim Blake Nelson that was about the Jews who ran the concentration camps, and how they, at the same time that they were doing things like shoveling the ashes out of the chambers, were plotting to blow up the concentration camp. It's also based on a real life story. And so, I've done enough of these in my life to know how to handle them and what they are, right? I'm Jewish. I like to say I'm Jewish. But actually, when I do a play like this, I feel more of my Jewishness come to the fore, and I feel like I'm doing a mitzvah. It's important to so much of the Jewish identity and the Jewish culture and the Jewish storytelling is about remembering and telling stories over and over again, so that we remember and that we look at them in different lights based on where we are in history. So it feels important and the right thing to do to tell, but it is really difficult to do. We at a certain point in rehearsal, we're like, we need to have a moment when we start rehearsal where we're just like, hey, we're just all actors. We're just all living here in New York. We're having, it happened after October 7th, right? Before, we were in rehearsal for a couple of weeks, and then that happened. And it just sort of changed the way everybody felt about working on this piece of theater. And so we're like, we need to take a couple minutes at the beginning of the day and a couple